forward to seeing you tomorrow morning when things kick off. Jim Manley.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you for a great year as president of MTLA. You can't follow an act like that, but tonight I'm fortunate enough to be part of a great celebration for MTLA. It's my honor to award this to someone who's already accomplished everything that can be accomplished in Montana law, except the one award that I know to him is the highest honor in Montana law. And I understand it was 40 years ago this week that the Iowa Supreme Court gave out an award to a young law graduate as the outstanding student advocate in Iowa, and they gave this award and predicted great things, a great career for this young law student. And boy, how prophetic they were. His mom was there. His folks were very proud of him. He was the first one in their family to ever go to college. His mom was there. His dad couldn't attend. He ran the local butcher shop, and in those days you didn't close down the butcher shop for something like that. So the law student got into his Volkswagen and headed west, and boy, was Montana the better for the fact that he stopped here and hung up his shingle. Until I heard John Amston's talk today, I didn't realize really how remarkable the career was, because he's done all of this without ever advertising as Terry the Hammer Trieweiler. I'd like to read part of this nomination letter that I wrote so that I don't get this wrong. I don't think that anybody has probably ever had a 6-month run like Terry had this year. Last September, Terry went to trial in the case of Chad Kringle versus Burlington Northern before the Department of Labor. And the case gives some insight into Terry's character as a plaintiff's lawyer and in his tenacity. The trial was the culmination of 6 years of work on behalf of persons discriminated against by the railroad because of their height and weight. Terry's previous efforts on behalf of 4 similar individuals had led to 4 separate trials before the Department of Labor, all successful, then 4 district court appeals, all successful, 3 appeals to the federal district courts, all successful, 3 appeals to the Ninth Circuit Court, 2 of which were successful, and 2 Montana Supreme Court appeals, both of which were successful. On September 2nd, 2009, Terry received an award of $440,000 for Chad Kringle for this discrimination. The next month, Terry was lead counsel, along with MTLA member Jamie Tao and Mississippi Attorney Bob Germany and Virginia Attorney Bart Ballot in the case of Peggy Stevens versus Novartis Pharmaceuticals Corporation. This case drew national attention. Over 550 previous cases had been filed regarding the prescription drug produced by Novartis, and this was going to be the first one in the nation to go to trial. Novartis never made any offer of settlement because the stakes were too high and they had to win this case. The Novartis case had actually started as a medical malpractice case, and during the discovery, the treating doctor had said that the main problem had been caused by the drug Zomata, which had been administered to protect against fracture from weakened bones, while Peggy Stevens, who was a nursing supervisor at Missoula Community Hospital, was being treated for follicular lymphoma. Unknown to Peggy, or apparently the treating physician, the drug could also cause osteonecrosis, or what's called death of the jaw, following even minor trauma from such things as a tooth extraction, and that's what happened to Peggy. During discovery, the treating physician explained this, and so Terry set up the deposition for somebody from the manufacturer who knew something about Novartis. or about Zamata. Novartis produced a witness who didn't know anything and disclosed even less, and so Terry added Novartis as an additional defendant to the suit. Now, at the time, there were hundreds of cases that had been joined in multi-litigation in Tennessee, and there was an outstanding court order requiring the drug company to notify the multi-district litigation steering committee for the plaintiffs of any new filings. Novartis's attorneys notified that team, which was led by Mississippi trial lawyer Bob Germany. The multi-litigation plaintiffs' attorneys were vigilant, and they were very concerned about which Zamata case was going to be the first one to go to trial. They didn't want this to happen without a first-rate attorney. I called Bob Germany and asked him about this, and this is the way he tells it. I didn't know where Whitefish, Montana was, and I didn't know who Terry Trieweiler was. I was concerned about some attorney screwing this up for the other cases. So I called Terry up and I told him exactly that. We didn't want him screwing up our cases. Terry just said that he'd been around for a while, and why didn't I check out his website and call him back? I checked his website, and holy cow, I knew I had to eat a big plate of humble pie. So Bob called Terry back and told him that the multi-litigation team was available to him to help in any way they wanted, that Terry wanted. Novartis tried everything they could to prevent this or to delay this going to trial. Over 400 pleadings were filed, nearly all of them defense motions. Terry managed to bring this case to trial within 9 months, which has got to be a record for Missoula. The corporations team included, of course, local counsel. They also sent out 7 out-of-state attorneys, and they were backed up by about a battalion of them back on the East Coast. On October 21st, 2009, a Missoula jury awarded $3.2 million verdict against Novartis. The verdict drew national attention. The publication Product Liability 360 listed it as one of the 10 most significant product liability awards last year. The Plaintiffs' National Steering Committee asked Terry to join their team and to be lead counsel in the mass tort case that was scheduled for New Jersey this year. And I'm sorry, I don't know what Terry's answer was to that. Bob Germany hoped to be here from Mississippi tonight, and he's in litigation elsewhere and couldn't make it. But he told me, I've tried cases with and against the very best trial lawyers in this country. I never saw a better one than Terry Trieweiler, and I never knew a better person in this profession. The Stevens verdict was handed down on a Wednesday, and the following Monday, Terry Trieweiler, again with Jamie Tao, were in front of a Great Falls jury in the case of Patrick Sheff versus the Burlington Northern. Patrick Sheff had been seriously hurt in the rail yard at the Burlington Northern yard in Whitefish, and soon after, when he was unrepresented by counsel, had signed a settlement and a release agreement based apparently on some questionable representations by the adjuster. At first, I know that there were other lawyers who thought that this was a hopeless case and were reluctant to take the case. Terry and Jamie took this case. They were able to set aside the settlement agreement through summary judgment, and they went to trial, and on October 20th, a Great Falls jury awarded Pat Sheff $1.6 million for his permanent losses. On March 10th, the Department of Labor entered summary judgment for another of Terry's cases on behalf of Eric Felt. They ruled that Mr. Felt had been illegally discriminated against by refusal to employ him because of his height and weight. That trial was scheduled on the damages was scheduled for May 17th, and I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to that. According to our award criteria, this award is to be given not only to recognize excellence in trial work over the past year, but also one's trial work over his career. Prior to going on to the Supreme Court, Terry was recognized by all of us as one of the very best lawyers in Montana. He was nationally recognized by publications such as the Best Lawyers in America and really all the other similar publications. We're all familiar with Terry's record on the Supreme Court. I would challenge anyone to find any justice in the 150-year history of our Supreme Court who has ever been a stronger champion for the ordinary citizens of Montana and for the depth and clarity and intelligence of his decisions. Carol, could I ask you to come up here, please? If you wouldn't mind, everything that I have, I got after asking Carol if she would quietly put together as much information as possible. And I worked with Carol for a while after that, and I learned a couple of things. One of which is that Carol is probably the best legal writer in the Trieweiler family. And the other is that Terry is very, very fortunate to have a partner like this. And really, I think with all of these awards, it goes without saying that not only Carol, but all of the wonderful Trieweiler daughters, we can't do this without helping each other. And while one gets the attention typically, it's all of you who are there through the hard times and the husband and father that's gone and all the stress and tension and all of that. And so in a way, this is an award to all of the Trieweiler family. Sometime in the future, I suspect when people talk about this period, they're going to refer to it as the Trieweiler era. There is nobody in this generation who has had more impact on Montana law and more positive impact on ordinary Montana citizens than Terry Trieweiler has, and he's one of the most important Montanans of our time. So this is a celebration for all of us to get to share in this award to the 2010 Trial Lawyer of the Year, Terry Trieweiler.